I'm going to call this meeting to order. If we could get a roll call, Sarah, would you be able to lead that, or do you want me to?
President Block,
Yes.
Vice President Vaccaro,
Present.
Board Member DeCriscio,
Here.
Board Member Foreman.
She's on her way.
Okay, Board Member Newberry,
Here.
Board Member Hernandez, Board Member Johnson,
Here.
Board Member Wright.
He is also on his way.
Okay, so far Beatrice and Wesley aren't here yet, but both should be here shortly.
And no Joseph. Thank you. Okay. Next, if I could get an approval of the minutes motion
So moved.
and a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And
Aye.
none opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. President's report, I will keep it brief, but if you aren't aware, this is my last formal meeting as president. We have enough buffer time in case anything comes up and we need to meet ahead of Media Fest, but this is our last formal group meeting until then. So very excited for what comes next. I just want to say very briefly that I've been an SPJ since I was in college. Getting to lead this organization has been a huge honor in my career, especially while also serving as an active journalist in the field. You know as well as I do that SPJ is in a transitional phase right now. Membership-based organizations look a lot different right now than they did 10 years ago, and so does our profession. So to remain relevant and sustainable, our group has to continue to sharpen its focus. We have to continue to focus on advocacy, to empower today's journalists, and to continue to supply training. And I think we're in a good position to do that, but it takes people like the people I'm speaking to in this room that have gumption and drive and willingness to try new things. So thank you for supporting me this term and being here. And I'm very, very excited to pass things along to Chris Vaccaro, who I know is going to be an incredible leader because he already is one. He's been a fabulous partner in crime. And I'm not going to do anything more formal than that today, but I'm just very thrilled that he's taking the reins and excited to pass things over. Okay. Next on the agenda, I'm going to pass things off to Media Fest. I would love to hear from Michael Koretsky about how things are going, because hopefully I'm going to see a lot of you in a month from now. Michael?
All right, we have just some of the numbers. We have 178 sessions booked so far. We have 14 to go. Those are ACP and CMA college sessions that they have not completed yet. There are 3 keynotes, one for each organization, ACP, CMA, SPJ. SPJ was done weeks ago. ACP and CMAs are not yet done. They were due last month. They hope to be done by Friday, and we'll post them over the weekend. Expenses, which it's easier to predict than revenue since expenses are front-loaded and revenue is back-loaded. We are currently $30,000 under budget for expenses. That's 19% that we haven't spent. We'll probably spend a chunk of that on things like boring stuff like shipping and delivery stuff. But the most important thing to know is that we're going to be at or under budget for the expense side of the convention, which is important given some of our recent history. Like I said, it's hard to predict revenue, but at this point we have 131 registrations, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we're journalists and we don't do anything until it's the last minute. By way of comparison, in 2022 at the last Media Fest, we had 86 registrations. So we're up 34% at the same time from the convention. However, to give you some comparison for how journalism conventions have faded some, in 2019, the last year, just ACP and CMA were in DC. They had at this time 215 registrations. So basically 2022 and 2025 combined. So it will be hopefully bigger than 2022, but it will probably not approach the conventions of yore for those of you who have been around for 10 years or so going to conventions. Other than that, those are the numbers. SPJ freelance hall is done. SPJ hall, basically, a suite of rooms have been programmed. Everything else is, I mean, SPJ's part of this is locked and loaded. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I see Patty with her hand raised. You could go ahead.
Hi, Michael. 2 questions. Remind us who the SPJ keynoter or keynote program is. And second question, what was our prediction or our budgeted number of persons to be able to break even on the SPJ line?
Well, the first one, the convention, the SPJ keynote is the SPJ fellows, and I'll let Caroline or Emily talk about that because they're the ones who lined it up and looks really good. And while they're doing that, I'm going to try to get you that number.
Sure, I could start us off there. It is going to be our Fellows of the Society in a panel format. I'm going to be the moderator, and we're going to talk about the same way we've presented these fellows as a slate. We're going to talk about how they represent sort of media in different formats. So legacy journalism, nonprofit journalism, independent journalism. Where does it come from? Where is it heading? How do they work together? And I think it's going to be a really great and robust discussion. So if anyone has input or suggestions there, please feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, that's the gist of it. I don't know if you have anything to add, Caroline.
No, it's really excited about it. I'm glad that you're going to be doing it yourself, and yeah, that's I guess, and the other one that's on Friday, and so you'll just keep us apprised of what's happening with the other 2 organizations' keynotes. Yeah, great.
As far as break-even attendance, it's really a hard thing to predict because you have 4 price points for the convention. So if you're a student or advisor who's a member of ACP, CMA, or SPJ, you're paying $150. There's $180 if you're not a member of those organizations. Professionals pay $260. And then if you're an SPJ member, and if you're not, you pay $460. So they have it done by revenue, but if you divide it by the rough equal of all of those, you're looking at about 750 people on the low end. Like, in other words, if everyone goes at a discount rate, you'll break even around there. And anything over that is profit.
So that's 750 for the 3 groups combined.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So it seems to me that we on the SPJ side had budgeted a certain head count that would allow SPJ to break even on the whole production. Does other board members, do we remember this? I'm sorry, I don't have those notes with me.
Well, I can tell you that the way this works, which I think helps SPJ, is that all the expenses are now split. So if you were to host, if SPJ was to host its own convention, it would pay everything for the app, for shipping, for the food and beverage. The weirdest thing about conventions is they require that you spend $55,000 in food. So we're splitting that among 3 groups to get the low room rate. So on the expense side, SPJ is going to be saving about 2/3. So I don't know how that factors in.
Maybe the way to think about it then, you're saying that SPJ is 30 under on expenses at present. What do we anticipate the expense number to be? And then you can, divide in 260 into that or some lower number. Just, I'm a little worried if we have, did you say it's 131 registrations so far for all, or was that just the SPJ
That's
number?
total for everything.
Yeah. So
Compared to
it's sounding a
86.
little soft, and I absolutely understand journalists wait to the last minute, and before the early bird rate ends, people will probably step up, but just want to make sure that we're aware of where we stand financially.
And direct expense, total of all direct expenses, 159,330. We're currently at 129,024.
All right, thanks.
A question I dropped in the chat, and I don't expect to magically pull these numbers out right now, but something I'd be curious about moving forward is how this sort of drop off between pre-COVID times and post-COVID times for us compares to other similar statured organizations. Like if we're seeing those trends everywhere, or if it's specific to journalism, specific to us, etc. Again, that's not something I expect us to see right now, but I'd be curious of those trends and if it's just like an overall reflection or if it's something that we can fine tune more.
Well, we definitely know from 2019, which is a good number because ACP and CMA were not only in DC at the same time, it was the same hotel with the same expenses and everything else. So in 2019, they had, 215 registrations compared to our 131. They made, I think, 60 grand, if I remember correctly, off of that convention each. So ACP and CMA. So, yeah, I think we're still lagging from COVID.
Understood. Thank you, Michael. Are there any other questions specifically about Media Fest from the board?
If you do have any, reach out to me anytime. I'm hoping that ACP and CMA wraps up their part of this this week. If so, we can start putting things into the app. And if any of you are presenting, you should be getting further notifications. If you are presenting or anyone else is presenting and have any questions, I did send around a page that explains everything, but if I forgot anybody, just holler.
So I have a question about if when their speaker changes, how do people get notified?
That if they're speakers, I will notify them. If they change after it goes on to the app, which I don't do or control, the CMA headquarters, which is running the app, they're going to have to notify speakers at that point. So until the app is loaded, which is supposed to be mid-September, probably be closer to the end. Until then, hit me up or I'll hit you up. And after that, it'll be the people running the app.
I'm seeing a question from Hagit. Go ahead, Hagit.
Hi, I'm very sorry I'm late to the meeting. I couldn't get on. So Michael, I apologize if I ask something that you've already covered, but can you just very briefly let me know how many registrations we have, how you feel, that SPJ is being represented, and whether you feel like we're going to break even, anything, any information like that. Thank you.
Well, I did give some numbers and it's worth repeating because they're interesting. So we have 131 registrations right now compared to 86 at this time in 2022 at the last Media Fest. However, I can add that according to ACP and CMA, most of their members, which are universities, have not registered yet because they're still either securing the funding, getting their checks. They usually register not one or two at a time, but they'll send 4 to 8 students. Like Wes is on this call and he's going to bring at least 4 students. So when he signs up, and I know Wes, he hasn't probably registered yet. So that's going to be 5 or 6 registrations at one time. So the numbers, at least on the college size, have a tendency to jump all of a sudden in a single week. And that'll probably be in the next week or two since school just recently got started. As far as SPJ goes, I don't have a history of SPJ numbers for its last convention or for Media Fest. I can tell you that we have weekly meetings with ACP and CMA. Emily has been on some of those. Crystal has been on some of those, and Crystal has been amazing and gotten ACP and CMA to move with some alacrity on things that SPJ has needed right away. And SPJ is far ahead of the game. Hagit, I pretty much summed up that each organization has a keynote. SPJ's has been done for a month. ACP and CMA still haven't programmed theirs. SPJ Hall is totally programmed. SPJ Freelance Central is programmed. And Caroline has SPJ leaders and members sessions all programmed for the past several weeks.
Okay. And I fully understand even professional members sometimes register at the last minute. We're journalists and we procrastinate. So I totally get that. Thank you for the update.
I would just add that the real test is going to be after the early bird closes on the 15th. That's when you're going to have a true number. ACP and CMA are not extending that early bird deadline. They're going to take registration at a higher price point up and right through the convention. You can sign up while you're there.
Thank you.
You all. This is a good segue. I would also add that under Sarah's leadership with the Finance Committee, we are getting regular updates on the SPJ side of registrants for the conference, and that includes sort of demographic information, which could kind of help us target our marketing toward regions we're seeing that have not actively registered yet. So with that, I will pass things over to Sarah for a finance report.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. I have 4 items for you today regarding our finances. The first is the year-to-date financial report. You should have received that in your board packet. So I won't go into a ton of detail unless there are any specific questions. But overall, as we head into the final quarter of 2025, SPJ is in a favorable financial position. This is due in large part to unbudgeted revenue from the IRS in the form of employee retention credits. We also are seeing revenue from awards and membership dues tracking well. And the Google Grant Program, which although it is largely a pass-through, it's still important from a support point of view, and it does reflect our overall budget bottom line. From a financial perspective overall, the biggest remaining unknown, as we've just discussed, is MediaFest, and we'll have more clarity on that in the weeks ahead. Emily mentioned that the Finance Committee's been meeting pretty much monthly, and we are, even though this is technically the final meeting of the current configuration of the board and leadership, we have agreed that we will have another meeting later this month, just a final check-in before MediaFest to do exactly what Emily described, which is review the demographics, see if there's any targeted work that can be done to help make sure that we get a strong showing and generate some revenue. Several other items. The next thing is the audit. Donovan CPA has completed the audit of SPJ's financial statements for 2023 and 2024 and issued its report today. So there was just some final housekeeping work that had to be done to make sure that the audit was complete. I did have a chance to review it very briefly just prior to this meeting, and I'm happy to report that it is a clean audit. Because there wasn't sufficient time to get it to everyone for board review prior to the meeting, you will receive it and have ample time to review, and then we will do an email vote on the audit. I'm very happy to say that it's a clean audit and it looks very strong. My next item is to share with you that beginning shortly, SPJ will publish a top-line financial report for the membership. This is going to be updated regularly, and the goal here is to provide some transparency into the financial status of SPJ. As of right now, what you're going to see, and I believe it was shared ahead of time, so please have a look. As of right now, it includes the current financial status of SPJ, and the next step will be to incorporate progress toward SPJ goals around its finances. And this brings me to my 4th and final item for today. As some of you may know, I declared my candidacy for a 2nd term as Secretary Treasurer of SPJ, and it appears that I'm running unopposed, which means that I will be in this position for another year. And this enables me to continue the work that I initiated last fall, which is ensuring strong oversight of SPJ's finances and providing increased visibility into the process around finances and the work of SPJ toward a healthier financial future. I want to take a moment here to thank Caroline Hendry and the entire SPJ staff for their partnership this year in working toward these goals. It's been crucial working together to map these things out with clarity and focus. And I also want to call out a couple of the SPJ Finance Committee members, in particular, Patty Newberry, who's here today, Matt Hall, and Cheryl Estrada. Each of them made sure that we were asking all the right questions to ensure that SPJ is financially on track. I just want to thank everyone who was involved in this work over the past year, and I look forward to another year. And I'm going to hand it over to you, Caroline.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure working with you and with the whole board. This is, yeah, I can't believe it's the last meeting, Emily, with you as president. So yeah, and we will probably be communicating some more about the audit. As Sarah mentioned, it's a clean audit. We, had a contribution to reserves, as you'll see, a significant one compared with a very substantial deficit the previous year. So we have to work towards sustainability, though. We know that this is, we are under a current MOU with the foundation, and that we are in the second year of a 4-year agreement. So we need to be moving toward sustainability at a more of a regular rate of contributions to SPJ. So it's been a really valuable kind of partnership, Sarah, that we've had, and I'm glad that I know that when you were thinking about running, you talked to a lot of people and you heard that finances were just top of mind to people, and we hope that people will start feeling a little less stress about it as we get some better news. So yeah, I would, as far as how things have been going, I would refer you to the written report that I included in the board packet. Some of the highlights are that we have been working very hard ahead of the Media Fest event to make sure that we have some really good training sessions through the Google program, among others. We are very happy to be offering scholarships to people to help subsidize make it possible for them to attend. So that application is open for another 6 days or so till next week. This is the first time we've done that. That was a new wrinkle, a new element to our grant with the Google News Initiative this year to provide support for attendees. So hopefully once that period is closed, we will see a nice bump in registration. We have enough for 50 scholarships. So currently we just got the information this morning from ACP about registration, and we were sent a list of 80 people who have registered under SPJ's aegis. So just to speak to your question, Patty, about what the breakdown was. And so that's what we heard. And we hope that these Google News Initiative supported scholarships are going to help boost our numbers and help our members afford to participate. So we're excited about that. Another new element of the Google News Initiative program this year is chapter level trainings. And as you might know, just as we were launching that program, Rod Hicks announced that he was taking over as executive editor of the St. Louis American. So after 7 years at SPJ, he accepted a new professional responsibility. One of the things he had been doing at SPJ is serving as point person for the GNI program. Fortunately, we were able to bring on board just a few weeks ago, Victoria Rattano, who is a longtime Google trainer herself. And she is assisting with the management of the program, being the liaison with the chapters who are doing the programs. There were 5 in August. There are more planned for September and October. So we're excited about that, as well as the track of programming, the Wednesday workshop, and the other training sessions at Media Fest in October. So that's one of the you know, it's been busy this summer with that transition, and we've been grateful for people's patience as we did make that transition. But I think we're in a good shape going into the fall now. Another change that happened since the last time we met in June is that we brought on board, also as a contractor like Vix, Anne Marie Tamburo as our first ever press freedom strategist. So she also has just gotten started, and we're really grateful that she's serving as point person on a project that was funded since you all met last by the MacArthur Foundation on a very a topic that SPJ has long been a leader on, and that is the unconstitutional restrictions by government on public employee speech, gag rules. So we are doing a pilot project in Region 5 on that, and Anne Marie is going to be taking point on that. We're really happy, but she's also helping advise on other press freedom issues, and so we're grateful to have her on board as we pursue the strategic focus on advocacy. We're fortunate that she has a media law background. She is an attorney in addition to, you know, her undergrad experience was as a journalist. So it's a good fit so far. And we have both of these new contract employees on board through the end of the fiscal year. That's their initial contract period. And we're going to be going into the fall budget process, as you all know, and we'll be taking a look at our staffing capacity gaps and our needs, and you know, building that into the budget for 2026. So you know, again, our report, we, you know, give highlights of some of the activities that we've been involved in on the advocacy front. We are happy that we've been both working publicly and behind the scenes. I think there's a lot more to do. Really hoping to get more into the area of setting up some training for journalists around these issues. Really honored to be working with Wesley on this call on the Renews project, which is gearing up for the fall. And Wesley, if you want to say a few words, I'd invite you to do that. We mentioned it only briefly in the report, so.
Yeah, I can. As a reminder, for people who don't know or maybe don't remember what that term means, the Renews Project exists to rejuvenate and bolster student media at HBCUs across the country. So this fall, I'm going to Kentucky State University in Frankfurt, and then to Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. And the idea is to figure out what they need as far as a newsroom. That could be anything from help on reporting routine topics like student government to investigative reporting to advertising. How do we turn over the readership we have so that people want to buy ads and make it sustainable? So I'm glad to do it. Glad to have the support of SPJ. And if anybody has contacts at other schools that you think might be interested, let me know.
Well, thank you, Wesley. Does anybody have any questions they want to bring forward for me?
Yeah, I have a question, Caroline. Thank you for that summary. Regarding the Google grants for MediaFest, how many have been awarded out of those 50 so far?
We are going to wait till the full amount, the deadline is reached next week, and then we will inform people. So we're going to do a push beforehand. Hey, you know, apply. So we haven't awarded any yet. We're just going to wait till the full complement of applications are in, and then award them.
And is it a fixed amount, or is it like on a sliding scale?
Well, we have it right now structured as a fixed amount, and it's basically covers roughly the cost of a registration, a professional, you know, SPJ member registration, and one night of hotel. That's $595. So that's the amount that we are offering.
And are we doing any targeted outreach in the greater DC area? Because with just covering registration and one night of hotel, I can imagine that folks who are closer in would be more, it would be a more enticing and manageable
Right.
opportunity.
Right. I think you're exactly right. And I think that's exactly what we should do. You're right.
And who would do that? I mean, is that something that would need volunteer support? I know the staff is tiny and really stretched. So what would that require?
Well, another development that occurred over the summer recently is that our communication specialist also left for a new opportunity in Southern California News Group. So we have a leaner staff. That said, we do have access to lists of journalists who we can target geographically, filter that way, and target the DMV area. Very good idea. I mean, it does sound, particularly enticing for them. So I love the idea, but I do think we can handle that in terms of staff, even though we do have reduced capacity in the communications area at present.
Thanks.
I see a hand up from Patty.
Yes, hi, thank you. So first of all, Caroline, I love to report we have done so much in the past year, and I hope people really appreciate the accomplishments of the past year under Emily and the staff. It's a small staff, but it's a mighty staff. You guys are just checking all the boxes. And with this shift in staffing, I really applaud the direction of the hires that you've made, especially hiring. I haven't met Anne Marie, but on paper, she sounds fantastic. Journalist, lawyer, and out there already gonna, start leading an existing priority for us. But I do have a couple questions on the staffing front as it regards the press freedom strategy that we've all been talking about for a while here. So we've heard just now in your report that Anne Marie is putting her focus on the PIO issue and the barring of agencies from letting their people talk to journalists. Do you see in the time that she has left with us this year that two questions, that she would have any capacity to delve into fundraising, which was always something talked about, that, whoever is leading the advocacy would also be involved in helping raise money to sustain it going forward. So is that feasible given the short-term nature of her appointment? And then secondly, after her current priority, do you have particular next priorities in mind for her?
Well, I would say that she is not just doing the PIO, the gag rules issue. So I'll say that. In terms of fundraising, I'd say Lucas is our prime fundraising expert and has been actively reaching out to people about funding our overall advocacy work. So there are, feelers out there. So I think it's a great thought. And I think very often when, if you are able to, find some appropriate targets for seeking funding, which we have identified some, then, having program subject matter experts on staff contribute is, very helpful, no question about it. And that is how often grants are written, grant proposals are written, and certainly, I think that it's a good idea, and I do think there's enough slack in her schedule at the moment that she could contribute if we can get some traction. Yeah.
Right. And I understand that, the staffing decisions, the permanent staffing positions, you're going to have to be thinking about as we put together the next fiscal budget. But at this time, can you share what you're thinking about in terms of having that be a ongoing position on staff.
Yeah, well, I would like it to be. Yeah, sure. And I mean, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, honestly. So I think we need to await certain milestones in the budget process. And, you know, we've shared with Sarah the kind of initial timeline for the process. So I don't want to get too far ahead of that. But yeah, we're gearing up to that. And I would say I do think that it makes sense to that position is very aligned with our goals, our priorities, and as identified in the winter, as you know. So I do think we should try to maintain that as a full-time position.
Thank you.
But
I
yeah,
just
go ahead.
in here on that too. I just want to make sure because I just want to reinforce what Caroline said. There is a budget timeline, and a plan to review revenue goals, you know, priorities and initiatives, right? And so it's very helpful to have someone in this role with some funding to start to see the value of this person in this role and how it's moving the needle. But we also need to look at that within the larger context of the overall revenue in the organization, budget projections, and priorities. So I appreciate your enthusiasm, Patty, and also your patience, so that the budget process can be done, you know, in an organized and orderly and disciplined fashion.
Thank you all so much for that. Any other questions for Caroline? Okay, thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment period. If there's any public comments, this is the time, and it'll be a 2-minute limit on comments. Do I have any hands? Short and sweet. Okay.
I will use just 30 seconds to say I'm hopeful for a really great working relationship moving forward. I'm grateful for the great working relationship that Emily, myself, and the board and Caroline and her staff have had. I'm excited about Media Fest and all the work that has been gone into it through Michael and several other people to make that what will be, I know, a very special few days. I am grateful for Sarah and the Finance Committee for putting us in a place that sounds really good and hopefully fruitful for months and years to come. And we're just building upon something. I am appreciative of all the questions and comments and just really good commentary about what seems to be a really positive vibe and really great path to progression and doing some different things and getting SPJ where it belongs. And you know, we've set that pace now and want to keep building upon it. So thanks, Emily, thanks, Caroline and staff. And I'm excited about what we're going to build together moving forward with the new board and new committee people and just a bunch of other people that hopefully will keep carrying this forward. So I appreciate everyone. Looking forward to October, and happy and healthy back to school for anybody with kids and craziness of this week across the country.
Can you tell he's going to be president? Extremely well said. Thank you so much, Chris. And yes, echoing all of that, thank you so much to headquarters and to staff and Caroline and the rest of the crew. Thank you to our amazing committee leaders and to this board. There's been a lot happening in a short amount of time, and I really do think that SPJ is on the right track as these leaders continue to lead. So I'm really excited to see what's next. With that, the only thing left on our agenda is executive session. The only thing that will be discussed in executive session are awards that will be announced publicly during the Media Fest period. So after executive session, this meeting will wrap. And I'm just saying that for the purpose of the virtual attendees, that there's nothing to come back for because we will be done. So we're going to go into executive session. I'm going to take the vote just to put us in there. And then from there, like I said, we're going to go over confirming awards for Media Fest. So thank you to the public attendees. And with that, do I have a vote from the board to move into executive session or a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Patty. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Chris. All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
seeing none opposed. Okay, and with that, we are going to move into executive session. Thank you, everyone else for being.